Good morning, my fellow Americans. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, world. Good morning, anywhere you're from. Big up my Jamaicans. Good morning, my fellow American. This morning, as I said, my title, Trump already leading. But we're streaming election this morning, election morning in the USA this morning. And this is a morning where a very interested morning. Nice weather outside so far. Probably looking for history later on any side. It's supposed to be history. We have never have a president that was voted out of office and run again. And we have never yet had a female president. So both ways history. You understand me? Just there in the morning, yeah, go vote earlier. Voting process was a hell of a line. But we stood it out because we tell you, we say Trump will come in. Hold on, will come in. Because some of them have to come down for real. Some of them big name politicians have to come down. So we have fire them today. Today are our day for fire. You understand me I say? But as I tell you, say, this is Bushmode production and we're there so for just give you the latest in the reviews and see what I go on in the world. You understand me? Subscribe to my thing, like my thing, listen to my thing. You understand me?
Know that I've been hurt. You know I cried a lot.
You gotta go.
You know all of this pain, but you still make a game. Sick of mind. Because you care no more. Because you go no more. Because you won't let go. And then you just don't show. Because you care no more. Because you go no more.
All right, no. They are saying enough for that. May I get better alive, subscriber? Yeah, man, I saw the start. Come on. This is the adventures. How can you not want to vote for this team? How can you not want to vote for this team? When I look at J.D. Vance, I never respect the pick that Trump made. I never even know of J.D. Vance. After J.D. Vance was selected as vice president, I went and watched his movie, realized his mother was addicted. He's just an American that came up through the system he worked, went to a law school and do pretty well. I mean, his interview make American people fall in love with his speech more because it's interviewed viewing skill is really amazing. Believe me. You understand me? But enough of J.D. Vance. He's a very, very, very intelligent guy. I like his mindset. I like how you understand me? I like how he put his sentence together. I like everything about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance look like the future. You understand me? R.F. Kennedy want to take out chlorine out of water and a whole lot of things that not supposed to be eating. SMG out of seasoning and a whole lot of things. So that's good for the medical field now. Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, you're supposed to the one. Tulsi Gabbard. Ex-colonel from our army, from the US Army. Serve her time. Want to serve the people them. And she want to serve them honest. Elon Musk. A man will pay $44 billion for Twitter just so we can have a free platform. So how can you don't want to vote for these type of people? Vivek Ramaswamy. Man, you are an amazing person, bro. Your time will come, Vivek. Because America love you. You have done the job. Ben Carson. Good job, son. Tucker Carlson. Later we shall party. You understand me? Later we shall have a nice party. And I believe it's going to be entertaining. You understand me? But however, I come on the internet in idea, we are stream the election. You understand me? I say we are stream the election in idea. Yeah. Yes, so once we are stream the election, now you know say I one of them thing there. Mm-hmm. I stream the election in idea, yeah. So we are watch what go on, as my thing say, Trump in the lead. We are watch what go on. You understand me? I could watch what go on in some community. You could see all the thing I work out. And you understand me? Like if you like what go on over here, so like the button and just scroll past. You understand me? The like button send me a more algorithm where people can start get 2 views and 3 views. You understand me? I say, but it's a start for everything though. You understand me? But I could go ahead with this. What go on in the city? What go on in the US right now?
We will make America free again. And we will make America great again.
We're not going back because America is ready for a new way forward.
So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe.
Always fails to deliver. Always fails to deliver.
The upcoming U.S. election looks all set to be a cliffhanger. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are vying for the White House. And pollsters are working round the clock to predict what could happen on November 5. In this episode of HT In Depth, we tell you what the latest polls reveal and whether they can be trusted. Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump are essentially tied, with neither candidate ahead by even a single point in the New York Times' polling average of 5 critical battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. As per a Fox News poll, Trump has a nationwide 2-point lead as opposed to Harris, who led by 2 points in its prior poll. Meanwhile, Reuters Ipsos poll shows Harris up between 2 and 4 points over last week's.
What's going on?
We will make America free again. And we will make America great again.
We're not going back because America is ready for a new way forward.
So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe.
Always fails to deliver. Always fails to deliver.
The upcoming U.S. election looks all set to be a cliffhanger. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are vying for the White House. And pollsters are working round the clock to predict what could happen on November 5. In this episode of HT In Depth, we tell you what the latest polls reveal and whether they can be trusted. Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump are essentially tied, with neither candidate ahead by even a single point in the New York Times' polling average of 5 critical battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. As per a Fox News poll, Trump has a nationwide 2-point lead as opposed to Harris, who led by 2 points in its prior poll. Meanwhile, Reuters Ipsos poll shows Harris up between 2 and 4 points over last week's poll. In North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, neither candidate even leads by more than 0.2 of a percentage point. And neither can realistically win the presidency without winning at least one of these states. While every poll prediction varies from the other, one thing seems to be constant: a slight shift towards Trump. However, history is proof that polls can paint a misleading picture. While these figures give us an idea of voter sentiment, they don't always predict the final outcome, especially when it comes to battleground states. Harris has managed to blunt Trump's perceived strength on key issues like the economy and jobs. However, this isn't just about national numbers. The true test comes down to the swing states, the battlegrounds where Harris and Trump seem to be neck and neck. However, Trump has slight leads in 3 crucial battlegrounds: Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. And these are the states that could determine the winner. Using the 2016 and 2020 elections as case studies, let's look deeper into why trusting the polls might be a risky gamble for Harris. Heading into the 2016 election, almost every major poll pointed to a Hillary Clinton victory. Forecasts gave her a 70% to 99% chance of winning. Many pollsters believed the former Secretary of State had a solid grip on key states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. However, the election night revealed a different story. Trump swept through these battleground states and claimed victory with 304 electoral votes. So, how did this happen? Pew Research Center points at several reasons that could have caused the surprise. One theory is the non-response bias. This happens when certain voters, in this case, Trump supporters, didn't respond to polls. These voters, often less educated and more anti-establishment, were largely missed by pollsters. Another theory is the shy Trump voter effect. Many people who supported Trump may have been reluctant to admit their preference in polls. Trump was seen as an unpopular candidate, but the election proved otherwise. State-level polling was also inaccurate. In states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the polls showed Clinton ahead by 1 to 7 points. But these states were taken by Trump. Fast forward to 2020, and the polling industry was eager to correct the mistakes of 2016. Once again, polls showed Joe Biden leading Donald Trump, and this time they were right. Biden did win, but the victory wasn't as thumping as many predicted. Polls significantly overstated Biden's lead in key states, like Wisconsin, where Biden's margin of victory was much slimmer than expected. A key problem in 2020 was underestimating Trump's voter turnout. Once again, polls missed the mark, and the results led some to question whether polling as a whole is broken. A study by the American Association for Public Opinion Research found that pre-election polls overstated Biden's support by nearly 4 points. So, why do polls continue to struggle to accurately capture Trump's support? Part of it is related to the complexity of measuring voter sentiment in a polarized nation. Another factor is the enthusiasm gap. Trump voters tend to be more enthusiastic and show up at the polls in unexpected numbers. Pollsters also face challenges in balancing response rates, as Trump supporters may still be less likely to participate in surveys due to distrust in the media and polling institutions.
After the last couple of elections, and especially the 2020 election, a lot of people have a lot of questions about the role of polling and what polling can and can't do. The polls were off a bit in 2020 and in a Democratic direction. They showed Joe Biden winning by a larger margin than he ended up actually winning by. A lot of pollsters have been trying to take a deep dive and understand what happened in 2020 and how they can do better this time around in 2022. A challenge that they face is that it's not fully understood exactly what happened in 2020. There aren't easy answers here. Pollsters can make some educated guesses about what is going to best represent an electorate in a given election. But who is actually going to go and vote on election day is something that a pollster cannot tell you ahead of time. That's probably one of the big reasons for polls being a little bit off in recent elections.
So, why do pollsters continue to miss the mark with Trump? Several factors play a role. First, predicting likely voters is a notoriously difficult task. Pollsters rely on models that try to forecast who will show up on election day, and these models often have small errors that can lead to big differences in predictions. Also, voters can change their minds. In the weeks leading up to an election, undecided voters may break toward one candidate. This is often what happens with Trump's voter base. In 2016 and 2020, undecided voters moved toward Trump at the last minute, something pollsters couldn't predict. Then there's the margin of error problem. Most polls have a margin of error of around 3%. This doesn't account for non-statistical errors, like underestimating Republican strength in key states. As we saw in 2016 and 2020, these margins can be enough to change the result in a close election. In battleground states, where the Electoral College makes all the difference, the race is essentially neck and neck. Trump's focus on the economy, jobs, and unemployment has resonated with many voters, particularly in states like Georgia and Arizona. The real question for voters and pollsters alike is, can we trust the data this time around? Polls have a margin of error, typically around 3 points, but the non-statistical errors from previous elections show that there's much more uncertainty at play. As Trump continues to attack the credibility of polls, and as his base remains energized, there's every possibility that he could once again defy the numbers. The polls may say one thing, but history tells us a different story. Donald Trump has consistently outperformed polling predictions, and with Election Day around the corner, anything is possible. If 2016 and 2020 are any indication, the race is far from over.
We will make America free again. And we will make America great again.
We're not going back because America is ready for a new way forward.
So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris. Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe.
Always fails to deliver. Always fails to deliver.
The upcoming U.S. election looks all set to be a cliffhanger. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are vying for the White House. And pollsters are working round the clock to predict what could happen on November 5. In this episode of HT In-Depth, we tell you what the latest polls reveal, and whether they can be trusted. Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump are essentially tied, with neither candidate ahead by even a single point in the New York Times' polling average of 5 critical battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. As per a Fox News poll, Trump has a nationwide 2-point lead as opposed to Harris, who led by 2 points in its prior poll. Meanwhile, Reuters Ipsos poll shows Harris up between 2 and 4 points over last week's poll. In North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, neither candidate even leads by more than 0.2 percentage points. And neither can realistically win the presidency without winning at least one of these states. While every poll prediction varies from the other, one thing seems to be constant: a slight shift towards Trump. However, history is proof that polls can paint a misleading picture. While these figures give us an idea of voter sentiment, they don't always predict the final outcome. especially when it comes to battleground states. Harris has managed to blunt Trump's perceived strength on key issues like the economy and jobs. However, this isn't just about national numbers. The true test comes down to the swing states, the battlegrounds where Harris and Trump seem to be neck and neck. However, Trump has slight leads in 3 crucial battlegrounds: Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. And these are the states that could determine the winner. Using the 2016 and 2020 elections as case studies, let's look deeper into why trusting the polls might be a risky gamble for Harris. Heading into the 2016 election, almost every major poll pointed to a Hillary Clinton victory. Forecasts gave her a 70% to 99% chance of winning. Many pollsters believed the former Secretary of State had a solid grip on key states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. However, the election night revealed a different story. Trump swept through these battleground states and claimed victory with 304 electoral votes. So, how did this happen? Pew Research Center points at several reasons that could have caused the surprise. One theory is the non-response bias. This happens when certain voters, in this case, Trump supporters, didn't respond to polls. These voters, often less educated and more anti-establishment, were largely missed by pollsters. Another theory is the shy Trump voter effect. Many people who supported Trump may have been reluctant to admit their preference in polls.
Never want to go too deep into that thing still, but you know why them get the poster wrong? Because we're discriminated by. Believe me. That's something we being discriminated by. Trust me. That's what I say. That's why them keep getting the poll. They getting it wrong. We keep discriminated by. If you make nobody know, say you vote for Trump, them call you stupid. I remember one day I'm in my elevator going downstairs for some DoorDash, and I was playing I've talked about this already. I was playing a Benny Johnson video. And the lady just ate on the point and said something to me, and I said, "Why you say that?" You know, I support Trump. Man, it's the worst thing I've ever said. Hear that. Worst thing I've ever said. Me and this lady live in an apartment, and the lady said, Trump is broke. I was like, damn, this lady crazy for real, for real. You hear that? But as me tell you, sir,
You gotta go.
all of this pain, but you still make a game. Sick of mind. Because you care no more, because you go no more, because you won't let go, and then you just don't show. Because you care no more, because you go no more, because you won't let go, and
this is the pan right now. Let's watch what go on. Later will be greater. Watch election vibes, you know. Right now, we are streaming both Brooklyn, Black Mountain, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and the White House. I think we can get a better view than this to see what go on. A little of everything. Understand me? So the kids, them they here with me. So don't mind the background. We could just take in little of what go on in a very historical date today, November 5th, 2024. The world I watch you. The world I watch you because we have to set set it for the world. So all eyes on the US election, right? All eyes. Mhm. Sometimes I mute this because the youth them me I tell you, noisy. But we have to work, you know. For like youth them you know, do no work. Understand me I say? Yeah. And a bill we say we are bill. Nothing is a failure, you know. Just keep trying and trying. Understand me I say? Or when I two views, I gotta remember them time I say when I give up. I will never give up. If you like my content, subscribe to my thing and like my thing, share it. And so we can get better. But right now we are streaming the election. Trump already leading in a whole lot of state. You understand me I say? So we're there. Yeah, they're all over the US to them, man. Our day to them, man. I see what I go on. You understand me? Just a bit. Right, back to right. That's it. Yeah, man.
That I've been hurt. You know I cried a lot.
You got to go.
You know all of this pain, but you still make a game. Sick of mind. Because you care no more. Because you go no more. Because you won't let go. And then you just don't show. Because you care no more.
Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. You know what Americans need is not just desperately out of touch celebrities preaching to them, they also need painfully unfunny POMs ranting about the election. Remember when late night TV shows were funny? Now they have the likes of John Oliver emoting wildly about Trump. Put him through hell. Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
a loser.
right.
Talking about
I'm
lefty
gonna
losers,
cry.
there is Mickey Rourke again proving that Mr. Mackey was right. Drugs are bad. Okay.
That, but I'm not going to go into it because I don't need another visit from the Secret Service.
When did you have one before?
Oh, about 6 months ago.
Why?
Take a wild guess.
Was it because of something you said about President Trump?
Yeah,
What did you say about him?
just the truth.
Which is what?
Read my mind.
what the hell was that? It did have me curious, so I went looking for why the Secret Service may consider that lunatic a threat. It's not because he told the truth about Trump as he claimed there. It's because he threatened to punch the president. This is Rourke during Trump's first term. Again, let this be a lesson to the kids out there. Stay away from drugs and bargain basement plastic surgeons.
That piece of in the White House, that lying sucker, that no good, two-faced piece of, you know, he said some really nasty things about the two of us. And you know what? It's personal.
It's personal now?
There's going to be a day when he ain't president, and we're going to bump into each other. And you're going to feel me.
You're going to give him a left hook?
What do you think?
I think you might.
A left hook from hell.
Oh dear, yeah, that dude has been losing it for many years, as has this next white dude for Kamala, MSNBC hysteric Joe Scarborough, who is just abusing Trump supporters in this next clip, just spewing abuse. He talks about the millions of folks who have attended Trump rallies over the years like they're garbage.
Who raised these people?
Yeah.
Because they were not raised by anybody in my neighborhoods that I grew up, any middle-class neighborhoods that I grew up in. These people were not there. They were not raised. I mean, they weren't in the classes I went to growing up in elementary or middle or high school or college. They just weren't there. That wasn't the America I grew up in. Again, who are these people? Where are they coming from? And who raised them? And how did Donald Trump twist their point of view so much in 9 years?
These lefties, they're a hateful bunch, aren't they? And this next lefty is no exception. What a piece of work this mad banshee is, attacking a man's truck because it has a Trump flag on it. She feels entitled to vandalize his property right in front of him.
This is my truck. Get away from my truck. Get away from my truck, you crazy lady. Please. What are you doing right now? Lady, please get away from my vehicle. I have to go to work. I'm going to go get the cops involved. Get away from my vehicle now. You cut me off.
What gives you the right to
free? This is America, and this is a free country. Get away from my vehicle, or I'm going to press charges on you. Get away from my vehicle right now and get on the road.
She actually asks, what gives you the right? That's the modern left for you, crazy, angry, and intolerant. Here is another charming lefty showing us again that the Democrats and the left in general are all about love, tolerance, and inclusion, unless you don't share their deranged worldview, in which case they behave like literal fascists while calling you a fascist.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah, you doing good?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You live in this neighborhood?
Doesn't matter.
You shouldn't be in this neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah. Do you have jaundice or something?
I shouldn't be in this neighborhood.
Guess what, Nazi? Go home.
All right.
You Nazi piece.
All right.
Go home.
Stop shaking your hands.
Go home.
Step
yeah,
away.
because I want to.
Step
you
back.
don't understand.
Step back.
After that nastiness, I think we could all do with a Trump-inspired music break.
Back me up, go all in, by Joe Biden. I gotta win, save the country from sin. I won't never slack up, Kamala's a clown. So get out and vote, keep Trump around. Trump around. Keep Trump around. Trump around. Trump's up, Kamala's going down. I'm the cream of the crop. I rise when I'm shot. Some started from the bottom, but I've always been on top. Painting me as a dictator, some type of super trader. I think you need some loving because you sounded like a hater. But I ain't going down like no punk foo. Clean up the house, Joe, moving in back suit.
That was good fun. And this next clip is
Pennsylvania, and finally Michigan.
Everybody's got to vote.
And in Philadelphia, Vice President Kamala Harris held a final star-studded rally alongside Lady Gaga and Oprah.
Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to win?
And in keeping with tradition, New Hampshire's small town of Dixville Notch kicked off Election Day voting at midnight, with all 6 of their registered voters casting their votes and resulting in a tie.
I have been a Republican most of my life, but I find myself in conflict with the Republican Party at this time.
But at this time, it is Election Day. And if early voting is an indicator, Election Day turnout this Tuesday is expected to be high.
Our democracy only functions when we all participate. So not only do I hope that everybody votes, but I hope they understand that these are normal people running our elections, right? It's people from all walks of life, all political parties. And, you know, your neighbors, your friends are wanting to make sure that this runs well.
All right, a big thank you there to our different Fox affiliates across the country and Fox News. You could see that was Doug Luzader as he was reporting there from Washington, bringing us the latest information. You are taking a look at one of our polling sites here. You can see folks are already gathered there to cast their ballots. Now, I do want to remind you that as of 8 o'clock, we do have 39 states that have polling sites open across the country. And as we progress through the morning, no question, more and more of those polling sites will open. We're also going to be checking in with our different Fox affiliates. So I do want to head over to our Fox 5 DC team for a look at their coverage.
The latest on the actual race for the White House as both candidates are making their final push in swing states.
That's right, guys. Both candidates making that final sprint for voters yesterday. Trump, who picked up a big endorsement from podcaster Joe Rogan, made stops in North Carolina as well as Pennsylvania before ending his campaign. And Grand Rapids, Michigan, all, of course, huge battleground states. Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he ended his last campaign back in 2019. And much like then, he centered much of his message around immigration. Meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris, who stood before thousands during a star-studded rally in Philly, made this pledge to voters. Trump also expected to host his election night watch party in Florida, while Harris will be right here in D.C. at her alma mater, Howard University. Steve?
All right, let's go to Maryland now. More than $80 million has been spent in the race to succeed retiring Maryland Senator Ben Cardin.
Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan is facing off against Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. And Fox 5's Melanie Allwich, she's been following this race closely all morning long. She is live in Upper Marlboro with more. Mel, good morning.
Hey, good morning. In just the hours since the polls have opened, the excitement is building. We've gone from Bowie over here to Upper Marlboro. We're now at Wise High School, and you can...
Believe me, this is my place. I have voted this morning early, before 8 o'clock. Yes, man, Maryland. You know, big up Maryland, big up commanders, always. You understand me? Yeah, but we could continue.
Hear everybody very enthusiastic about making this a day to remember. Now, I also want to show you live pictures from Davidsonville, Maryland, where that is where Governor Larry Hogan is expected to vote this morning. So again, we're seeing enthusiasm and turnout all across the state. You know, many voters were motivated to get out and cast their ballots first thing this morning. We did talk to some who told us they actually ran into obstacles because their polling location had changed. So if you were with us earlier this morning, you remember I was telling you, you need to make sure that you check what your polling location is, because it may have changed. And we did run into one woman this morning who found that that was the case for her, but she told us it was too important for her to give up on voting this morning.
Very important. My grandmother stood on the line with Dr. Martin Luther King. She had her face spat in, so it's very important. 4 polling places at out an hour this morning. Nothing could hold me down.
I'm excited. I wouldn't make any predictions. I think it could go either way. It could be a landslide for Trump or a landslide for Harris, or it could be very tight. Don't know. Unpredictable.
Now, Democrat Angela Also Brooks, the Prince George's County executive, has strong support in Maryland's heavily populated suburbs, but she has had to introduce herself to voters statewide. We saw her campaigning yesterday morning in Greenbelt and then having a rally last night in Riverdale. Polls show her with a double-digit lead. Republican former Governor Larry Hogan has been the underdog in this race in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1. But Hogan is well known and generally well liked across Maryland. Monday, Hogan greeted supporters and law enforcement at a diner in Rockville and veterans at a crab house in Annapolis.
Larry
His campaign
Hogan.
is trying to pick off independents
Oh,
who
my
he thinks
God.
could be
Yeah, you know,
difference
youth.
makers. But Also Brooks is running well ahead in the polls here. The
Yeah,
polls
but-
again opened at 7. They close at
Yeah.
8 p.m. And as we mentioned, you must vote in your designated polling place. So if you're not sure or if you think the location may have changed, please check before you head out. We'll have all the resources for you on our website, fox5dc.com, as well as on our mobile app. Make sure you check in there. And we'll be here all morning long to see how things are going. We'll send it back to you.
Time out. Thanks much on this election day. All eyes on Virginia as well, which could be a key swing state.
The Commonwealth has trended blue for some time now, but some race results tonight could help turn the state purple. Fox 5's Maureen Ume is live in Fairfax with the latest details. Maureen, good morning.
Good morning. We've seen a steady stream of people coming here to the government center to vote. Among them, young people who are voting in their very first presidential election. They're very excited to have their voices heard, all of them hoping, of course, to make a difference. Both sides are looking at here, the Commonwealth, to see exactly what happens with the voting and elections and the results here, because, again, as you said, that could tilt the balance of power. We're talking about specific races here, in particular, the senatorial seat that's up for grabs here. This is Tim Kaine's seat. He's a two-term senator looking for his third term. He's running against opponent Hung Kao, a retired U.S. Navy captain, served for 25 years in the military. Kao unsuccessfully ran in 2022 in Virginia's 10th congressional district. But according to a recent poll, Kao is trailing Kaine right now by 14 points. In that hotly contested 10th congressional district, there is no incumbent on the ballot this year. Current Democratic Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton decided not to seek re-election because of her health issues. The race is now between Democrat Suhas Subramanian and Republican Mike Clancy. And then in the 7th district, Democrat Eugene Vindman is facing off against Republican Derek Anderson. Vindman has focused on reproductive rights and touted his military experience. Anderson has talked about the economy and illegal immigration. We did speak with voters this morning, some of whom, as I said, are young first-time voters. They say they're glad today has finally come. They hope their votes do make a difference.
And there's going to be a lot more young people coming out to vote, and I think that's really going to make a difference.
I think everybody's anxious. Like, for the rest of the day, I'll just be sitting, like, waiting to find out who's going to win. And it does make me sad that we're so polarized, but I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully it gets better. Probably won't.
It's exciting to take part in voting and having a voice in this country, especially in such a polarizing time, like Mom just said. But yeah, it is scary that we'll find out in 24 hours or something like that by the end of the week.
Well, we certainly hope to find out who the winners are sooner than later. Polls here stay open until 7 o'clock. A reminder, you have to vote in your precinct here in Virginia. We've had a few people come here to the government center thinking that they can vote here. You cannot. You've got to vote in your particular district, the precinct rather. So be sure you're aware of that before you head out to vote today. Polls, again, open until 7 o'clock. That's the very latest. Listening back to you guys in the studio.
That's right. Double check. We have links on our website, too, fox5dc.com.
All right, a big thank you there to our Fox 5 DC team. We are going to be checking in with them as well as our other Fox affiliates. And what I do want to show you is a live image we have. You can see all those vote here signs right there. That is the Cobb County Civic Center over in Georgia, one of the several sites that we do have images of here on Live Now from Fox. Now, we also have this one that is coming in. This is a look over at Springfield, Ohio. We have cameras everywhere, as I mentioned, and we'll bring you those live looks all throughout the day. Now, we've talked a lot about the race for the presidency, but this election, both parties are also fighting for control of both the House and Senate. Right now, Republicans do have that slim majority in the House, while Democrats have a slim majority in the Senate. Voters, though, could change all of that. To help discuss, I do want to bring in Laura Tammen, a political science professor over at Pace University. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I know it's a busy day for everyone, so we definitely appreciate it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about these congressional races. Why are they so important, and why are people paying such close attention today?
So, the way that our system of government works, Congress is essential to passing laws and legislation. And who wins Congress is really going to determine what the president is able to do, regardless of which person wins the presidency. So, the race for Congress is incredibly consequential for governing moving forward.
And when we do talk about specific congressional races, I know there are quite a few of them, but which ones are you maybe keeping a closer eye on?
Right. So while a lot of folks are looking at the swing states for the presidential, I'm actually looking at coastal states for the congressional. So I'm looking at New York and California. New York in part because that's where I live. But there are two really key races there, New York 19 and New York 16. And New York 19 is extremely competitive, but Biden won and there's a Republican incumbent. And similarly, New York 16, Biden also won. And the Republican congressional candidate there, Congressman Lawler, has really run a flawless campaign. And the Democrat in the race, Mondaire Jones, has not run what I would call a flawless campaign. So given how competitive this is, if Jones manages to win, that'll really tell us something about where the rest of the races are going.
I do want to ask, because you have this political expertise, does it appear right now, just based on the polling and things of that nature, that we could see a swap as far as who is in control of the House and Senate? And if that did happen, what exactly would it mean?
So definitely we could see pretty much every branch of government swapping who controls it. We say in every election, it's close, but this one, it's really, really close in all branches. So we could have a situation where the president is of a different party than the House, which is rare, but it could happen this year. And that will really hamper the president's ability to enact their agenda. So if that happens, I would expect that we're actually going to see very little progress in legislation because there will be so much gridlock. The Senate is our best. We can make our firmest predictions about the U.S. Senate, right? The U.S. Senate seems poised to shift into Republican control. But the House is totally up for grabs. There's really no telling. And it's possible that whoever wins the presidency will be able to bring the Congress along, meaning that people who are showing up to vote for whoever wins president also cast their vote for that party down ballot. But these races are so close that those swing voters or independents who are split ticket voters could make all the difference here also. So it's really easy to imagine all sorts of scenarios. It's kind of mind-boggling if you're someone who analyzes elections for a living. There are just a lot of possible outcomes.
When you talk about looking at some of the results of the congressional races, does that give you kind of an indicator overall of who might have won the electoral votes there for the presidency, or is there not always kind of a correlation?
Well, usually it does, but things are so close. When they're really close, small numbers of voters can make a big difference. So it gives you a sense, yes, but there's really no telling because of our system. The majority rules, right? So the person with the most number of votes wins, and how close it is doesn't really matter in terms of control. So it'll give us a sense, but it's not determinate.
What do you think is one maybe big misconception that voters, people out there, Americans have about these congressional races overall? I know that's kind of a broad question, but I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. I think that the most important misconception is that they don't really matter. So the president can do very little by themselves. They have to have a Congress they can work with. So who is elected to Congress is really essential for making our government function and for the president to be able to get things done. So while, a lot of people only interact with their member of Congress when they need their passport expedited or when they have a constituent issue, who they are in Washington has significant impacts on their everyday lives in ways that are really hard to see. But these races are essential, and communicating with voters is essential for these campaigns about these races. That's part of why we saw Kamala Harris's campaign put a lot of time and resources into promoting what they call down ballot races, which are races other than the top of the ticket for president, because they know that who controls the legislatures is going to have a big impact on what they're able to do.
Any other state or maybe even local races that you're paying close attention to that maybe most Americans are as well?
I'm paying close attention in New York to the ballot proposition. So the first ballot proposition would essentially enshrine abortion rights into New York's constitution. It's been a contentious issue here in New York, not because abortion is a contentious issue, but it sort of got caught up in the trans rights debate as well. So I'm interested to see where that goes. Also here in New York City, we have a few other ballot propositions that were put on the ballot really by the mayor to try to consolidate power. So being a New York City resident, that's obviously of interest to me to see if folks vote to give the mayor of New York City more power or less power.
All right, Laura Tammen, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help kind of break it all down. A lot of races on the ballot, and I know most people are paying close attention to the presidential race, but we have these congressional races as well. Anything else you want to add here before I let you go?
I just hope everyone gets the chance to go out and vote today and be a part of the process, and even volunteer as a poll checker or a poll worker at this election or future ones, because our democracy only works if we all participate and help take care of it.
All right, Laura Tammen there, political science professor over at Pace University. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, anytime.
And I do want to take you to just one of our mini maps we're going to show you all throughout the day. As we know, there are 7 states that are considered to be battleground states this election day. We're talking Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. All of those highlighted right there on the map. And polls did open this hour in Arizona, Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Mississippi, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. Again, a lot of states. You're going to hear all about this all throughout the day. Do want to take you out to some of the live images that we do have popping up from those polling centers here. This is a live look over at Springfield, Ohio. And we also have this shot. Could see a reporter kind of pop up there. So if we see him, we'll kind of go to another area. But this here is an election site. This is over at the Houston Toyota Center over in Houston, Texas. Also got this image coming in here, and this appears to be over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That is going to be a big pivotal county there in the swing state of Pennsylvania, possibly the one being watched the closest. 8:17 on the East Coast and 5:17 on the West Coast. Going to head to our first 2-minute commercial break of the hour. On the other side, we'll check back in with our different Fox affiliates for a look at some of your headlines here as they're following their races very closely. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 819 on the East Coast and 519 on the West Coast. I want to take you out to this video from a bit earlier on this morning as a small town in New Hampshire keeping up that tradition overnight. Now, the handful of people who live in Dixville Notch cast their ballots as the clock struck midnight local time. The township home to only 13 people, with only 6 people registered there to vote. So they cast their ballots. You can see it in the ballot box there. Now we know that each candidate earned half the vote, with 3 votes for Trump and 3 votes for Harris. All right, I do want to check in a battleground state right now with our Fox 5 Atlanta team, as they do have an array of reporters out gathering all of the latest.
Already cast their ballots. Millions more will join the ranks and wait in lines, likely outside of polling centers, as Americans flex their civic muscles to elect a new president.
We're going to have the American dream back soon. Together, we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country, and we will launch the most extraordinary economic boom the world has ever seen.
And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics that has been driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done.
And this presidential race will be decided by 7 battleground states, one of which is Georgia. And that's why we have been bombarded with campaign ads and candidate visits. And Good Day's Mark Teichner kicks off our You Decide 2024 team coverage live from a Fulton County polling precinct. Mark, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. The bell of the ball. We've been for the last couple of months, and now we're going to see if all of that campaign advertising and visits will pay off, and if so, for which party. We are here at Park Tavern polling precinct in Midtown, and when we saw them open the doors a little over an hour ago, there was about 20, 30 folks waiting in line to cast their ballots. They've been able to get in and out fairly quickly, and we've seen a steady flow going in, but certainly no kind of long lines that are going to cause folks to be dissuaded from coming out and making their voice heard, at least not at this particular location. Now, as we know, a lot of folks were encouraged by both parties to try to come out and take advantage of early voting. We saw record early voting numbers, more than 4 million ballots cast when you include the early voting advanced, in person, and the absentee. So we decided to ask some of these folks about why they decided to wait until Election Day.
And in some ways, I think since 2020, it has become a little harder to vote. I mean, we couldn't get an absentee ballot because they don't send them out until October 7th. Well, we left on October 10th, so we wouldn't even have gotten it. And we didn't come back until November 2nd, which was after early voting.
Yeah, another voter told us that the reason they decided to vote on Election Day is it's a tradition, and they feel more like it's a part of the excitement that comes along with all of this. The good news with all of those early voting numbers is that hopefully the lines are going to be a lot shorter than we have seen in previous years. Now, coming up in the next half hour, you're going to hear from another voter about why they're coming out and what they're hoping to accomplish, and whether they think we're going to be able to put all of this sort of division behind us when this is all said and done. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Mark Teichner for Good Day Atlanta.
All right, we will check back in with you then, Mark. Thank you. Well, now in Cobb County, thousands of voters who received absentee ballots late will not get an extension to return them.
Good Day's Brooke Zahner is live at the Cobb County Civic Center with more on what a state Supreme Court decision means. Brooke.
Yeah, well, this is definitely a big impact for thousands of voters here in Cobb County. We're told about 3,400 absentee ballot requests were late, according to county election officials. And this all got brought into the court system, and that ruling came down from the Georgia Supreme Court. But Cobb County election leaders blame a surge in last-minute absentee ballot requests and equipment failures as part of the reason for that delay. So the order that just came down only addresses a motion for a stay. That means a final ruling has not yet been made in this case. But for the time being, Cobb County election officials may only count absentee ballots that are received by 7 p.m. tonight. And we talked to a voter this morning who requested an absentee ballot and never got that ballot.
I went online and I requested a ballot a few weeks
something was mailed to me, but it ended up not being the actual ballot. It ended up being another request for the ballot. So I just found out a few days ago that I couldn't do an absentee ballot.
Now, fortunately for her, she noticed in time and was able to make plans and adjustments to come to her polling precinct on Election Day. And that is what election workers encourage you to do if you want to make sure that that vote is counted, that you cancel your absentee ballot and you go to your polling precinct. Or alternatively, if you have the absentee ballot, you can also turn that in directly to your county election office. That's the latest here live in Cobb County. I'm Brooks Honor for Good Day Atlanta.
Okay, Brooke, thanks for explaining that for us. We're also keeping watch of other elections on the ballot, including the race for the state legislature. All 56 Senate and 180 House seats are on the ballot. We're also watching congressional elections. Races for the House and Senate will determine which party holds the majority and several tax measures. Now, don't forget to join Fox 5 Atlanta for complete election coverage. It starts this afternoon at
All right, and we have complete election coverage right here on Live Now from Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories and live events. And no question, we are going to be focused around the clock here on the election. Want to pop this up for you and let you know that our real primetime coverage will start tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have Andrew Kraft, Austin Westfall, the whole team here to bring you those results the second they come in. You will be the first to know, and I know you have a lot of options tonight, but I can promise you, Live Now from Fox will be the best one. Taking a live look right here over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, as folks are lined up here on Election Day. The polls are open and they are ready to vote. Now, this is, of course, a swing state, but Bucks County very important to both candidates as they do try to win the pivotal swing state of Pennsylvania. Do want to head to a quick break here at 8:26 on the East Coast and 5:26 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. On the East Coast and 5:29 on the West Coast. Do want to take a live look here at one of our many live cameras inside voting poll locations. I was trying to see, it looks like that guy has a very large ballot there. You are looking over in Brooklyn, New York. This is, again, just one of the many shots that we do have across the country. We'll be taking a look at these different cameras all throughout the day. Want to pop up this map for you. Take a look right here as people in 4 states will vote on the future of marijuana legislation today. Florida, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota will have marijuana on the ballot. Now, former President Trump has said that he supports Florida's legalization of marijuana and that if elected, he will work with Congress to, quote, pass common sense laws regarding marijuana. Vice President Harris has said that she feels, quote, we need to legalize marijuana and stop criminalizing the behavior. And in Massachusetts, medical and recreational marijuana is already legal, but voters will decide whether to decriminalize the personal use of psychedelic substances, which, by the way, are already legal in Oregon and Colorado. A lot to discuss, no question, so I do want to bring in Heather Trella, the Director of Operations and Fellow at the Rockefeller Institute of Government. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and help us break it all down.
Happy to be here.
All right, so first off, the big question, are we talking about the same initiative essentially in all 4 states, or how do they really differ?
Well, in Florida, North Dakota, and South Dakota, we're talking about legalizing recreational or adult use marijuana. And in Nebraska, we're talking about legalizing medical marijuana. So that's one key difference. Nebraska also split their initiatives into 2. So their voters are actually looking at 2 initiatives, one to permit medical marijuana usage and another to create a way to commercialize and sell medical marijuana. Otherwise, they're fairly similar. The recreational states are mostly all 21 and older. Some have home grow, some do not, but nothing dramatically different.
Speaking kind of broadly right here, when you talk about the 2 different parties, obviously Republicans and Democrats, as of right now, as of today, is there one party that still remains pro-marijuana and one that is anti-marijuana? And has that changed kind of over the years and decades?
Yeah, I break that into 2 groups. Among voters, it is a mostly bipartisan issue. I think we're hovering at about 76% of Americans approve of legalization. Some generational differences. Where you see the more partisan differences is in elected officials. Republicans do tend to be a little bit more apprehensive or obstructionist for passing marijuana legalization. Federal, state, there are obviously exceptions to that rule, but in general, in states where legalization efforts have failed at the state level through the legislative process, it has been the Republican legislators that have blocked it.
And you are taking a look once again at the map. We're talking about those 4 states, Florida, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Do we know at this point how this could go in those states with marijuana on the ballot? Do we have kind of an early indicator?
Yeah, looking at polling, Nebraska is probably the most likely of these states to pass their initiative today. They do, however, are mired in a legal challenge, so it's possible that this ballot measure will get thrown out and the votes will not count. Florida is kind of a toss-up with the higher threshold to pass a ballot measure. In Florida, you need 60%, not 50%. Polling is hovering a little around 60, so it could go either way. North Dakota and South Dakota, this is their 3rd attempt in both states. And so it's less likely that it'll pass, could be a surprise, but less likely it'll pass in either of those states, not polling particularly well.
Do you think that once you see kind of the results today that we could essentially see more states put this on the ballot? There are several states where, you have marijuana that is legalized already, but do you think this is going to lead to maybe more initiatives in other states based on the results?
I think we're going to see more ballot initiatives, but regardless of the results. Just as I said, this is the 3rd try in 2 states. And because it is so politically popular with voters, in states where there are ballot initiatives and they can put things on the ballot without having to go through the legislature, I think you'll continue to see these challenges. Several states are also pending. I know there's a few states that are looking forward to 2026 to possibly attempt. So yeah, I would say that, this will be significant if these passes. These will be major inroads into the Midwest and the South for recreational marijuana. But I think you'll continue to see this trend of states continuing to try to pass.
And I want to talk about the 5th state that I mentioned a short time ago, because Massachusetts voters are going to decide whether to decriminalize the personal use of psychedelic substances. I know that you wrote a piece about how advocates for legalizing psilocybin, I'm hoping I say that right, mushrooms are following similar means essentially as those who are looking to legalize marijuana. Tell me about that and essentially what you found as you wrote that piece.
Yeah, historically, there's been kind of phases of legalizing marijuana, and that's been the same playbook that psilocybin advocates have been using. Decriminalization is generally the first step, just taking the criminal penalty away from possession. And then the second step is kind of emphasizing the medical treatments. In states that have legalized, it has been the push has been to help with the folks with therapy, PTSD. And then finally, the third hurdle, the third kind of goalpost is recreational usage. And so in the states that have legalized or attempt, you're seeing this, many cities have decriminalized psilocybin across the United States. So that's step one. 2 states have legalized with a focus on medical treatment. So that's step 2. And I think we're a ways off from step 3, but you're beginning to see the same trend as people look for different therapeutic uses for illicit substances.
All right, Heather Trella, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. We really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to add at all?
No, this is going to be a significant, if Florida and the states in the Midwest all pass, that's going to be no longer a coastal issue. Marijuana will be in the heartland and be in the South. So this could have a great significance.
All right. Thank you again for being here with us. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
And we do have our Fox 29 Houston team. It looks like they are conducting an interview. Not sure if this is a voter or official, but let's pop up the audio and listen in.
It's a humbling experience. It's something that we've worked hard to be able to get to. And I really do hope that we can represent a new era of politics coming in, one that can restore trust and faith from the American people and the people of New Jersey. So I'm very humbled to be here and hopeful for America today.
Congressman, the seat wasn't necessarily open just a few months ago. Talk about taking over the seat for a senator who had to resign in disgrace.
Yeah, I think a lot of people right now in New Jersey, and frankly around this country, have a deep distrust in government. I mean, right now we live in the time of the greatest amount of distrust in government in modern American history. 84% of people in New Jersey surveyed believe that their politicians are corrupt. That is what is contributing to the undermining of our democracy and the concerns that so many of us have about what comes next. For me, I want my country to be able to deliver for my 2 little boys, but we're not going to be able to get that done if we continue to have this level of distrust. So that was exactly why I stepped up. I did not plan to run for Senate. This was not something I had in the cards, but I felt it was important to give the people of New Jersey a choice and to try to restore a sense of public service in our politics, which at a time when I think so many people are just yearning for somebody to just be in the job that is in it for the right reasons, not just chasing ego and ambition.
Feeling confident?
I never feel confident, but I feel like I've done everything I can. This is my 4th election in less than 6 years. My 4th election day in less than 6 years. So I'm approaching this with the same level of intensity. My wife and I have a tradition on election day where we, just the 2 of us, drive around the state of New Jersey and just kind of soak in the moment. But we've done everything we can. Now it's up to the voters.
Thank you.
All good? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
You're going to wait online?
Yeah, I'm going to wait in line. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for coming on out today. Yeah.
All right, and that was Senate hopeful Andy Kim, a Democrat there, voting over in New Jersey. He said he is going to wait in line, and it looks like he brought his children along. Again, we are going to be checking in with our different Fox affiliates here throughout the day as they speak with the political candidates there who are waiting in line, just like you and I, over at the polling sites. As of right now, we are at 8:38 on the East Coast and 5:38 on the West Coast. There are polling sites that are open right now in at least 39 states. And as we do progress through the hours, obviously more and more of those sites will open. We're going to head to a quick break here, but we'll have more coverage of Election Day coming up in just a few. My name is Josh Breslow, and you're watching Live Now from Fox. Good morning and welcome in here on Live Now from Fox, 841 on the East Coast and 541 on the West Coast. It is Election Day and we have all the coverage you need hours and hours before the polls close. However, we know that they are open in a lot of different areas. Take a live look right here outside the Cobb County Civic Center that is over in Georgia. And that image there is courtesy our Fox 5 Atlanta station. We also do have some other polling sites I do want to pop up for you. Let's take a look at this one once again that we had just before the break. This is over in Moorestown, New Jersey, and that is Andy Kim, who is a Democrat, and he is running for Senate there. Of course, in New Jersey. I do want to check in with our different Fox affiliates as we are going to do all throughout the morning. So here is our Fox 5 DC team with their live team coverage.
So much, and polls are open across the DMV right now. And here to help you prepare to cast your ballot today, want to bring in Junaid Dill with Axios to break down what you can expect to see if you're registered here in Maryland, Virginia, or DC. Good morning to you. It is finally Election Day.
Good Election Day morning to you.
Absolutely. So let's begin with what the voters can see, just not in terms of candidates, but some of the constitutional amendments that they will see as well on their ballots today.
Right. Well, we can start with D.C. There is a pretty big change to the voting and elections in the future in D.C. proposed through ballot initiative 83. It would open up primaries in D.C. so that independents could vote in the very important Democratic primary. Of course, everyone in D.C. knows that's where a lot of the races are decided. And it would also bring ranked choice voting to the district. So this is a bit of a contentious issue for the mayor and the council chairman who oppose this. But many people do support bringing ranked choice voting to D.C. Today, voters will decide on Initiative 83. And in addition, if you look at Maryland, they have a abortion ballot initiative on the ballot. And this would really enshrine the reproductive right for abortion in the state constitution. It would make it much harder for lawmakers in the future in the state to roll back abortion rights. And so this is one of 10 states across the nation today voting on a abortion-related ballot initiative.
I know when it comes to that one in Maryland, early on, there was a lot of confusion in terms of how it was written that some voters were concerned about.
Sure. I mean, it's also sort of maybe not intuitive just to think about Maryland being a deep blue state. You might not think Maryland would be a battleground for abortion rights per se. And I don't think that's what the drafters were sort of had in mind. But they really wanted to go and enshrine it in the constitution of the state that abortion, there's the right to it and that reproductive rights would be protected. It's sort of going a step further than what is already allowed in terms of the protective state of abortion, which is already legal in all pregnancy stages in the state.
We have about 30 seconds left. Junaid, finally, let's get in Virginia and its amendment.
Yes, there is an amendment in Virginia as well. It's a real estate property tax exemption that would be expanded to spouses of soldiers killed in duty. Right now, there is a real estate tax exemption for spouses of soldiers killed in action. This would expand it to all soldiers killed in the line of duty as well. Their spouses would benefit from this real estate tax exemption as well if that passes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for breaking those down. We focus so much on the candidates, but those amendments are crucially important as well, and voters will see them on their ballot. So we appreciate your time and expertise, Mr. Junaid Dill of Axios. Have a good Election Day.
You too. Have a great one, everyone.
Steve.
Another change at the X platform, formerly Twitter. This time when it comes to the block button. We'll explain those changes after the break. And as we go to break, if you do see news happening, you have a news tip, something going on in your neighborhood, let us know all about it so that we can get you some coverage. You can email us, fox5dc@fox.com, or give the news desk a call, 202-895-3000. And you can pass along your tip directly to someone there. In the meantime, we'll be right back. More election coverage coming up on air and on Fox Local.
A big thank you there to our Fox 5 DC team. We're going to be checking in with them and our other affiliates across the country as we break down those race results, but also the situations at those different polling sites. We'll keep you updated on any issues that might arise. And I do want to remind you that coming up tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, that is when our primetime coverage does get underway here on Live Now from Fox. We will have our crew gathering all of those results. The second they come in, you will be the first to know if you're watching us here on Live Now from Fox. Do want to remind you, of course, that there are other races that are on the ballot aside from the presidential race. Take a live look over at you can see the Capitol building there in D.C. as both parties are fighting for control of both the House and Senate. Right now, Republicans have that slim majority in the House, while Democrats have a slim majority in the Senate. But if Democrats take the House and Republicans take the Senate, it would be the first time in history, the first time ever, that both chambers of Congress have flipped to opposing political parties. Now, as far as campaign fundraising for those races goes, it's a lot. Federal election officials say $2.5 billion has been spent on the Senate races, while the House races have cost almost $1 billion. We'll keep an eye on all of those races as well, and we'll get a little more local as well for some that folks are watching very closely. Do want to head to our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour here at 8:47 on the East Coast and 5:47 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone, and welcome in here on Live Now from Fox. The time 8:49 on the East Coast and 5:49 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow. It's Election Day, and we are here to bring you all of your coverage with the help of our different Fox affiliates across the country. We've been checking in with them, and we're actually going to check in with our Fox 5 Atlanta team in just a second. But I do want to bring you out to this live image here. This is actually one of the reporters who is out there at the Cobb County Civic Center, where folks are showing up to vote. Now, you can see all of the vote here signs there, and the door is propped open, but it does not appear that there's a line out the door, as we've seen in some locations. Now, I do want to check in here with our Fox 5 Atlanta team for a look at their coverage, as they have an array of reporters covering the race from each and every angle.
They've already closed in one New England town.
Meanwhile, both candidates returned to familiar territory, with Vice President Harris in D.C. and Donald Trump in Florida. Fox's Doug Luzader joins us live from West Palm Beach. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, and the former president has arrived back here in Florida after some final campaign stops. We expect him to vote in person, and then we all wait for these results to come in today. Election Day is finally here. Polls open for this one last day as millions of Americans cast their votes.
We've been waiting for 4 years for this.
In his closing message to voters, former President Donald Trump wrapped up his campaign, making a final blitz across swing states, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and finally Michigan.
Everybody's got to vote.
And in Philadelphia, Vice President Kamala Harris held a final star-studded rally alongside Lady Gaga and Oprah.
Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to win?
And in keeping with tradition, New Hampshire's small town of Dixville Notch kicked off Election Day voting at midnight, with all 6 of their registered voters casting their votes and resulting in a tie.
I have been a Republican most of my life, but I find myself in conflict with the Republican Party at this time.
But at this time, it is Election Day. And if early voting is an indicator, Election Day turnout this Tuesday is expected to be high.
Our democracy only functions when we all participate. So not only do I hope that everybody votes, but I hope they understand that these are normal people running our elections, right? It's people from all walks of life, all political parties. And, you know, your neighbors, your friends are wanting to make sure that this runs well.
Now, the Trump campaign has a watch party here in West Palm Beach today. Vice President Kamala Harris will attend a watch party of her own in the nation's capital. Back to you guys.
All right, Doug, you mentioned the former president will cast his ballot today in person. Any word on whether the vice president will mail hers in or not?
Yeah, she's already mailed. She's already voted by mail. Yeah, that when the former president votes today, the candidates will both cast their ballots.
All right, Doug, thank you.
Well, the polls now open in Georgia. There's a plan in place to keep everyone safe.
That's after rumors started circulating about groups planning to intimidate voters. Good Day's Caitlin Pratt is live in Tucker with the Election Day security plan. Caitlin.
Okay, thank you.
To you both, we actually switched locations now to right near the DeKalb County Jail, the elections office here in DeKalb County, Avondale Estates area. We have noticed police at both locations have been this morning, but not particularly like a sense of urgency, if that makes sense. So let's talk about what prompted this this closer look at Election Day here in Georgia. DeKalb County saying that they received or looked into some rumors of threatening texts and posts against minorities about Election Day, determining ultimately that those threats were not credible. And in Atlanta, Mayor Andre Dickens says that they're collaborating with neighboring agencies, making sure any voter in Atlanta can vote without any fear, any intimidation, or any violence.
We have the cleanest voter list in the entire country. We have photo ID for all forms of voting. At the end of the day, it's going to be fair and fast and accurate.
If you do encounter a problem at the polls, please contact your county board of registrar's office or the Georgia Secretary of State. You can also submit a complaint online to the Secretary of State Elections Division. Law enforcement basically reminding everyone, if you see something that doesn't seem right, go ahead and contact them. That's the latest here live in DeKalb County. I'm Caitlin Pratt for Good Day Atlanta.
All right, KP, thank you. 8:19 is now your time, and coming up on Good Day Atlanta, state officials in North Carolina put up tents at polling stations severely damaged by Hurricane Helene. How the state is making sure that everyone can vote.
All right, that was our Fox 5 Atlanta team. We're going to be checking in with them and our other affiliates. But as you saw there, we do have affiliates in many of those 7 swing states. I want to pop up this map for you so I can give you a look at the swing states that we are keeping an eye on here. Again, that is a look right there on your screen of the map. Again, 7 swing states: Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Do want to send it over to Madison Scarpino with Fox News as she breaks down more from the ground.
The momentum is on our side.
Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign is hoping to ride that momentum to victory. But as her team is busy with Election Day preparations, security is popping up across Washington, D.C., at the White House and at Howard University, where Harris graduated, and the site of her election night watch party. Local officials are warning communities about engaging in violence once election results are released.
The losing side may be feeling destructive, and that is not going to be tolerated.
Harris spent all of Monday traveling around Pennsylvania, knocking on doors and speaking at rallies in Allentown, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia. She got a helping hand of star power along the way from Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, and Oprah Winfrey.
Deciding not to decide, that is most definitely a vote to let other people control your future.
Former President Donald Trump campaigned Monday in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Trump will host his election night watch party in West Palm Beach, Florida.
We do not have to settle for weakness.
Meanwhile, the tiny town of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, conducted its famous midnight vote. Ballots from the 6 residents there show the vote split directly down the middle.
All right, that was Madison Scarpino there with Fox News reporting on the latest. Of course, we are going to keep you covered right here on Live Now from Fox all throughout the day. And I do want to remind you that our primetime coverage here with those election results does begin at